Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. It's been a pleasure to be here all week. I've been lucky to participate in the Arctic Circle in this conference before, but this is my first time as Minister for the Scottish Government, and it has been an incredible week so far. And I know how instrumental their continued collaboration in the Arctic Circle as the Scottish Government has been in planting new seeds in the long history of Scottish Arctic collaboration. And I want to thank President Grimson and indeed Prime Minister Jacobsdottir for their continued engagement with Scotland, and we appreciate it very much. And I found out something actually ahead of coming here, is that Scotland has played a part in a fundamental part of Iceland's culture, in that your national anthem was written in Edinburgh. If you go to Edinburgh, apparently in London Street in Edinburgh, you'll see a plaque that commemorates that. And as a nation like Scotland that constantly has arguments over what our national anthem indeed is or should be, may I suggest that maybe we send some composers up to Reykjavik to get it sorted. But that knowledge sharing between us and those cultural links is as important as ever. Scotland's lucky to be so geographically close to our Nordic neighbours. We have continued to try and embed the slogan that you'll have seen on our stall from Team Scotland, that Scotland is the most northerly non-Arctic nation. We are ideally placed to connect the European Arctic with Central Europe. We are a bridge between the North Sea and the North Atlantic region. The geographical proximity makes us fully aware of the similarities with our Arctic neighbours. They are easily seen in our vast rural areas, the low population density, and our long coastlines. And these commonalities translate into similar policy and economic priorities. And for instance, around the marine economy, sustainable rural development, and the well-being of our remote communities. So it's no surprise that Scotland and the Arctic continue to look to each other for solutions and ideas and partnership working. The Scottish Government has established a fund to nurture this exchange of knowledge. The third round of the fund is currently underway. It's supporting Scottish organisations to work with Alaska on the space sector, with Canada on green shipping, and with Lapland on sustainable tourism, to name but a few of these programmes. We now have 11 members in the University of the Arctic, and we're getting ready to host the Arctic Science Summit Week in Edinburgh next March. Cutting across all our work with the Arctic, our Arctic neighbours and partners, is the desire to build a greener and more sustainable future for our communities. I cannot stress this strongly enough, and no surprise to anyone here about how much importance we place on the fact that we are facing a global climate and biodiversity emergency. Every year, this conference hears new alarming data about the pace at which the Arctic is warming up and species being lost. Every year, we hear from Arctic communities who are seeing the impact of climate change right on their doorstep. We cannot become numb to either the figures or the stories that we hear. Geopolitical events and the heightened focus on energy security must hasten, not weaken, the transition to net zero. And we must be clear that this is not a choice between two types of security. They are the same: our geopolitics securing our environment, and our environment insulating us from geopolitics. Be it at micro level among our rural communities, or at an industrial scale, we must develop and deploy green energy, clean energy technologies that accelerate our shift away from the burning of fossil fuels. And Scotland wants to lead on that front. Domestically, we have already halved our emissions over the last 3 decades. Last year, Scotland produced enough green electricity to power itself 4 times over. Internationally, we have established ourselves as leader in renewable energy solutions. And we're home to both the world's first and one of the world's largest floating offshore wind farms. We are working on a potential offshore wind pipeline of over 40 gigawatts. And to put that into perspective, that is enough electricity annually to power every home in Scotland for 17 years. Scotland's also the most advanced hub in Europe for marine energy, with companies already exporting their technologies internationally. And we have a well-established onshore wind sector already producing at gigawatt scale. So what does this all mean? It means that Scotland has the natural resources, the skills, the location to share this good fortune in the energy transition with our near neighbours. In fact, we have so much, we're going to have to find new ways of what to do with it. And that brings me on to hydrogen. Our ambition is to produce 5 gigawatts of low-carbon hydrogen by 2030 and 25 gigawatts by 2045. Substantial volumes. Fleets of hydrogen vehicles can be seen in my home city of Aberdeen already. There are hydrogen hubs across Scotland, but that's just the start. And thanks to the North of Scotland Hydrogen Programme, you'll soon hear about whisky distilleries powered by hydrogen. In Shetland, the Orion project is looking to repurpose existing oil and gas infrastructure and deep water facilities to store and transport hydrogen. All of this is happening on the Arctic's doorstep. So, ladies and gentlemen, Scotland's approach with our Arctic neighbours is about sharing our knowledge, sharing our resources, and that includes our skills, our expertise, our resource, our ideas, and our ambitions, and maybe even potentially some projects as we collaborate. We're ready to work with our Arctic partners, and I am delighted to be part of this panel today to talk about what more we can do with hydrogen and our shared future. Thank you.